So we do all the cooking, and here's our canopy with a campfire underneath, a practice range, other tents where guys are sleeping, and gals too, I might add. We have some women on this hunt, makes it a real treat. But we're going to tell you all about bow hunting up here at Houghton Lake, what it's like in the woods in the fall, about the deer, about archery. So stay tuned because it's Thursday night, time for a special edition of Michigan Outdoors.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, it's history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties, we'll look around again at all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan.
Can't get enough practice when you're an archer, right, George?
No, you got
Okay.
try it all the time.
That's right. Okay, this is George Gardner. Old buddy of mine, we've been bow hunting together 6 years now.
6 years, boy.
At this bow camp, well, at a bow camp somewhere around Michigan. I want to talk to you, though, before we get into all this, about a technique you and Bob Eastman are pushing here on tracking deer. Show me this.
Oh, on the game tracker, surely.
Yeah. Game tracker, right here.
That's it, right there on the bow. And,
Spool of thread in there.
Fred, there's 2,500 feet of line on that spool, and of course what you do here, if I can show you, fasten the line onto the back end of your arrow.
Okay, and you have that taped on there.
We have the tape on. In case the broadhead goes into a deer and turns loose, that line would come off, and that tape is just enough to hold the line in place while the deer's running off with it.
Okay, now on a day like this where it's been wet, it might rain, it will be kind of tough to track a deer. This is where a game tracker really comes in handy.
What it really pays off to have a game tracker on in this kind of weather, particularly.
Okay, go ahead, give us a shot here with a game tracker. A lot of bow hunters are skeptical. They say, well, you know, it's got to put some drag on the arrow. Let's get back here, get over the shoulder of George, you're a left-hander. Fred Bear, Jim Doherty, Phil Grable.
All the best of us.
All the best. You guys are left-handers. Okay. Now watch the game tracker. He takes his normal aim right there, a perfect shot.
It's that easy, you know, Fred. It doesn't affect the flight of your arrow at all.
Okay, so if you hit a deer in the woods and it might run off 300-400 yards,
that tracker is right there, goes with it all the way, and it certainly makes it so much easier. Two things, I think. Number one, Fred, there's never any question whether you hit the deer to begin with, because when that line starts to go out,
well, you know you've got the deer.
That's right. You know you've made a hit, and it's kind of almost like having a second hunt, because you watch that line going out, and let's say as an example, if the line stops and then starts up again, stops and starts up again, you want to leave that deer go a little while because you know he's not down. So
okay, well this is a game tracker. There's so many people here at this bow camp. Jim Baker with Baker Tree Stands. Fred Bear has been here. It's been really great. But this is just one thing, the game tracker. Of course, it enables you primarily to find your arrow.
Thanks.
Right?
My hat was not shot at this weekend so far.
We'll be getting into that, too. Let's go over here and talk to some of the guys under the campfire.
That swamp, right exactly where you were.
Just saw a buck there.
Yeah, well, no, I'm telling you. Well, about a half a mile before you get to that turnoff where you go back in, about 400 or 500 yards back into the left back in there. We're sitting back in there, and all of a sudden we heard the snap and a crackle, and here came 7, 2 bucks, 5 does, nice ones. So we just decided we'd sit around and wait to see them go out through, and came back the next morning, and there they were, right where we parked the truck. No shots, it was still too dark, but...
Gary King.
Story of my life,
hard
right?
luck story.
Story of my life,
yeah,
right?
Nothing but hard luck stories, but that's okay, isn't it?
It's fine. Just to be here is a pleasure.
Sure is. How you doing, Sam?
Not too bad, Fred.
You got any shots yet?
Not yet, but still working at it.
What
Trying to
about you,
stay
Bob?
dry.
No shots at this time. No, I've been seeing them, but they haven't been coming in.
Haven't been coming. What about you, Jim?
No shots. I've seen several deer.
Then what are we doing here? People are going to say, you know, we've been here almost 4 or 5 days.
Well, we're waiting for a good shot. We don't want these long shots and end up with wounded animals and that type of thing. We're waiting for the good shots. And these guys are good bow hunters. That's the way they should. That's the way they hunt.
That's the way we do it. Well, we did have right out here, if you can see. Oh, Jay, you can get the buck pole out there. You see our buck pole. We have the ladder. We're ready to hoist the deer, but there's nothing on it. Now there was a fellow, Terry Anderson, who brought in a deer.
Right. He's a local fellow insurance agent here.
Right. We talked to him just earlier this week when he brought it in.
Right. Nice. That was an 8-point.
Well, it could have been more, huh?
It looks like it. If you notice the front of each of these main tines, apparently during velvet time, the horn ends were knocked off for some reason.
Yeah, they're very tender at that time when they have the velvet on, and very soft, and it could have been you might have had another point or so out there.
I would say I probably got cheated out of 2, maybe 4 points.
Okay, so that makes this a 12-point then.
Yeah, sure could have. Maybe by this time tomorrow it will be a 12-point.
Who knows? Okay, well, why don't we put this up on the buck pole? Here, tradition here at Deer Camp. We finally have a buck for the buck hole. We have a little doe right now on the spit grilling. You gonna have dinner with us tonight, Terry?
I'd sure like to.
Okay, well, we're gonna barbecue some of that. There we go. How much would you say this weighs?
Gosh, Fred, I must feel like lifting it up right now. It must be at least 140, 150 pounds.
That's a good-sized deer, an 8-point. There we go. One of the first, but you get a deer every year, Terry?
I've been lucky. This is my 3rd deer in 3 seasons in a row now.
All with a bow?
All with a bow.
That's great.
Good-looking deer. Looked like about 140, somewhere to 160 pounds. Evidently, he'd done some work. His antlers are a little on the busted side, but still, all in all, was a nice trophy to take.
Yeah, well, Terry's a local, so he knows the area a little better than we do.
That sure helps. I like to put one of those back on Ohio.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you came all the way up here from Ohio to hunt.
Came in from Sandusky, right?
How you like the food?
Excellent. You're supposed to lose weight in hunting camp. I think I've put on about 6. And
Never lose weight
I'll
out there.
tell you, not in this camp. The guy's excellent. It's great hospitality.
Okay, okay, I'm going to go over there. You guys go ahead with your stories. I'm going to go over and talk to Mike here in the MASH unit. We do call it the MASH unit. The sign's right above the door here. There's our refrigerator outside, and Mike Ignat is in here. He's been our chef. Oh, fantastic food. Let's go and talk with him. Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. What are you making us here for lunch?
Oh, let's see. I have meat soup and barbecue venison.
Oh, that was from the deer that we got the other day?
Right.
So you're just fixing some pickles here, some condiments.
Pickles, and lunch is always something easy to go.
And give me a tour of this kitchen here. We're inside a tent, an old Army tent.
Old Army tent. We converted to a kitchen.
In fact, you used to cook for the Army, didn't you?
Yes, I cooked for 2 different army, the French and the American Army.
Well, you have some real experience.
Summers in Camp McCoy, Wisconsin.
Oh, look at this. Can you get a shot of this, Ocho?
Barbecue venison.
Boy, does that look good. That's just venison.
Venison, barbecue sauce, and a little red wine.
Ah, the French influence.
Right.
Boy, that looks good. Some soup.
And being pressed on space, I had to do my soup in the oven.
What kind of soup is that?
So it's a ground beef with some sausages in it, noodle.
Boy, that looks good. You have a gas stove here with a gas tank on the outside.
Right. I have a gas stove, I have a fryer, I have a grill.
Oh, yeah, right down here. Look at this. Your fryer's also gas.
Right. Sometimes we have lights, sometimes we work without lights.
You mean because of the generator outside?
Generator, right.
If we have gas in the generator, oil, here's your...
But we can always cook.
Okay, here's your equipment here. You got some pretty darn good knives. You've been in the chef business before, haven't you?
I was born in a restaurant business in Europe, so I grew up in this kind of business.
Let's take a walk here through the MASH tent here, Mike. Here's a little dishwater here. Got the dishes done from this morning. You have plenty of supplies. You have to have plenty of supplies for deer hunters.
Being the first time in Houghton Lake, I didn't know what to expect, so I bought.
Okay, well, let's walk down here a little bit. We have 4 picnic tables. It's spacious. It's warm in here, of course. It's warm because of you've got the stove going and cooking all the time. Guys are pretty happy with the meals?
I think so.
Oh, you bet they are. You bet they are. We're having, what, tonight? A game dinner, I heard.
Tonight we have a game dinner. One of the hunters is bringing the dinner from West Branch, I believe.
Well, you know, here it's just about 1 o'clock here, and there's nobody in the mess tent. What time is lunch in Bow Camp?
We have a menu here. We have an early breakfast for the man who goes hunting early in the morning. He does his own breakfast.
And what time is that?
That's between 5 and 6, depends.
You're not here then?
No. I start at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
We have 3 different breakfasts. There's 10 o'clock in the morning.
10 o'clock is breakfast, and then lunch is...
Lunch from 2 to 3.
Okay, and dinner?
Dinner 8 o'clock, 8:30.
That's the schedule of a bow hunter, and I'll tell you right now, the bow hunters, a number of them are sleeping, the ones that hunted this morning. Let's go and give them a little surprise right now. See what they're doing in the middle of the day. 1 o'clock. We have 3 bow hunters in here who have been asleep. We're going to sort of pop in on them here and give you a tour of the tent. Let's see here. Okay, it's nice and toasty warm in here. You see the cots laid out here right down at the end. There are 3 guys sleeping. Look right here, OJ. We got the heater, oil heater, gas heater kicking out heat, keeps it warm in here. Here they are, ducking into the sleeping bags. These are bow hunters midday. Now, you know, deer bed down midday, and so do bow hunters. Who do we have here? Is this the hunt master? Dave Borgeson?
Check my name tag.
Check your name tag. Here's Dave Borgeson, and he's just waking up right now. Phil Grable. Phil, how you doing?
Fred, you.
Now hold it, we're on television. We're doing a tour of the tent. You know what time it is?
Do a tour of mayhem heaven in a minute. No, what time is it?
Huh? Well, it's about 1 o'clock. You sleeping pretty well?
1 o'clock.
No.
Good.
We got to get up and do some practicing.
Getting nigh on to time to, get some practicing.
No doubt about it. These fellas have been asleep. You have quite a warm sleeping bag here, Phil.
Yeah. Good one, Eddie Bauer, Karakoram.
Okay.
Good to minus 30.
Minus 30, okay. Well, we'll cover him back up. Go back over here. We have one more bow hunter. This is Bob Easterbrook. Bob? Bob, is anybody home? I saw him move. There he is. How you doing, Bobby? Did you get anything this morning?
Yeah, I got up.
Okay. Well, that's what it's like when you stumble into the tent at bow camp here. And we have room for 16 in here. Here's somebody else coming in, storing the gear. What? Sam!
Oh, hello.
How you doing?
Not too bad.
What you got there?
Just bringing in some of the bow equipment.
And let's see this box. What do you got in there?
Just a box we made up to help carry some of the gear, protects the box while we're traveling, and it gives you room to store the box, carry your arrows in it.
Bows and things like that.
And then you've got room for a few accessories that you can carry,
Well, that makes it nice to put under the cot.
And then we stick it all under here, so
Sure.
if you're coming in out of the tent, you've got it.
These guys are still sleeping in here, you know that?
Yeah, that's their problem.
Well, they don't have too much longer before we got to get out hunting. It's a nice spacious tent here. There's a rack for some of the clothes. As I said, the heater. We'll sneak on out of here and let them get back to sleep. Ho, ho, ho. I really think we better let those sleeping hunters lie right now. They don't have too much more time because lunch is coming up in just about, maybe a half hour over in the mess tent. But right now, Ed Groves, who's learning the ropes of bow hunting, he's going to be taking an archery lesson a little bit later. He's down with Richard P. Smith right now. Rich wrote the book Deer Hunting, and he's giving Ed some lessons on how to find where deer have been. Good place to hunt in the woods.
Hey, what do we got here?
Here's our ground blind, Ed, that we've got set up for hunting from the ground. Most of the bow hunters have been hunting from tree stands, but some locations, tree stands don't work too well. There aren't many large trees in here that are suitable for a tree stand. So there's some good trails here, good deer activity, so we decided on putting in a ground blind here. You can see there's thick evergreens around here.
Right, help protect you, sight.
Right. When you're crouched down here in the blind, we've got this log here to sit on. You can be comfortable and watch around for any deer coming. We've got leaves cleared away and twigs, so you can move your feet without making much noise.
Oh, I see. I see you've got some of the twigs broken off, so you shooting you can...
Right, we've got a shooting lane, or a couple of them, cut right through here where the deer trails go, so that there's reduced the chances of your arrow hitting a twig and being deflected. It doesn't take much of a twig to deflect an arrow.
Right.
And even so, deer aren't always that cooperative in stepping into the shooting lanes.
Right.
Sometimes they have a way of stopping or presenting a shot where it's not that clear, and sometimes the arrow still gets deflected.
Yeah.
But
now you really have to be careful of your scent when you're on the ground like this, don't you?
Right, and watch the wind direction. We've got it set up so the prevailing wind is... Hey, look, Ed, we've got a beaver cutting over here.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Beaver's been working on some aspen trees.
Well, now how do you know that that's a beaver cutting?
Well, you can see teeth marks here.
Oh yeah. I see.
And it's at an angle. Sometimes a beaver will gnaw evenly around a trunk, especially larger trees. Somebody with a saw would cut it off even.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
And it would be flat. You wouldn't see the teeth marks.
Now, where are there beaver around here?
Well, we've got this wet area out here with a creek. And you can see a slide here that they're using They come from the creek into here to do their cutting.
Well, now how do you know this is, you're saying this is like a beaver path?
Right.
Well, how do you know that it's not a deer path?
A beaver makes a wider trail than a deer does, Ed.
Oh.
We looked at some deer trails before. You can see there were narrow places where the grass had been flattened down. So the deer just step on it with their feet. They're narrow. And they just make a narrow avenue through the grass. But a beaver walks, and he's got that big flat tail behind him, and he flattens the grass
Oh,
right
I
down.
see. This is kind of going...
Yeah. See the grass, how it's flattened down?
Isn't that something?
It goes both ways. And out there where he's gone in the high grass, you can see where it's flattened down quite a bit. And a deer just won't do that. It makes a much narrower trail. And you don't see beaver tracks too often because that big tail behind them
kind of wipes it all out.
Wipes it out.
As they're walking by.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Hunting camp is, you might traditionally think of as being a man's world. There they are standing around talking. Yeah, we do a lot of that. But nowadays, things are changed, aren't they, Annie?
I think so.
You'd think so. We have Ann Clark, who's a world champion archer, and a target archer, her daughter Debbie, and Linda Jaworski from Michigan, and these three ladies are all bow hunters, and you're not the only women bow hunters in camp either who have been here during the week. What's the story? What's the attraction? Just us men? Huh?
No, I don't think so.
You don't?
No. Why don't you ask Debbie what the attraction is?
What's the attraction, Debbie?
I like the deer.
You like bow hunting?
This is my first time bow hunting, but I really enjoy it. I wasn't sure that I would. I thought maybe I just want to go out and sit in the woods, but it's a great sport.
What do you like about it, Ann?
Well, I've been doing it since 1953, and I started out with my husband, who was quite an outdoorsman. And for many years, I used to run the fence rails and kick up the birds and the rabbits for him. And I soon found out that there was something a lot better than doing this.
Yeah.
And he taught me how to shoot a bow. And I soon learned that it was not only the beauty of the woods, but the challenge that you meet when you're trying to track down an animal, to hunt the game, and then when you have been successful, to bring it home and to cook it and enjoy it and to tell your friends about it, and then to sit around the camp at night like we're doing right now, talking about it. It's a thrill that very few people experience unless they've actually been here to try it.
But it's a man's world.
It is not.
It isn't?
Certainly not. I mean, you may be part of it, but we are also equals, and we can do just about many of the things that you do, maybe not as well, some of them.
Oh, now,
But
hold it.
you may be able to shoot a stronger bow than me, but that doesn't make you a better bow hunter than I am.
That's for sure.
See, so we practice just as much as you do. We have the same type of equipment.
Well, you know that I'm putting you on a little bit.
Certainly I do.
No, no, I really enjoy having the women in camp. But what about you, Linda? You've gone bow hunting by yourself a number of times.
Oh,
up
yeah.
in the Upper Peninsula?
Yeah. Yeah, I've gone bear hunting by myself, and probably about at least 75% of my hunting I do alone.
Why?
I enjoy it.
What about it? A lot of women are going to want to know, what kind of fun can you possibly have slogging around in camo and...
I love being out in the woods. It's a fantastic feeling. It's very peaceful, and you learn a lot about nature and the animals out there. It's almost like you become part of their environment.
But women are supposed to, you know, stay home and crochet little deer and things like that? No.
No. No.
But you do sew.
Yes, I do.
You've made some great shirts for me, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
But you're really into bow hunting.
I love it. I love it. I've been bow hunting for, well, I started 12 years ago, and I just love it. I get out there every chance I can. I go out in the spring turkey hunting, if I get my permit, and I'll go bear hunting. I'll start bear hunting in September, and
okay, well, let's change the subject just a little bit and off of deer and bear, and let's talk about male chauvinist pigs.
I think you'll find less of that in the woods, in the field, with bow hunters or anyone who is connected with the outdoors than you will in any other forms of life today.
You really think so?
I know so, because I spend quite a bit of my time in the woods with gentlemen. And believe me, they're very respectful. They treat me as an equal, and I've never, ever had to make myself known that I was a woman and to be treated like one. They treat me as such, just as I treat them as a man.
You agree with that, Debbie?
Yeah, you know, I really do. This is my first bow hunt, and I've never had any problem with it since I've been here. Everybody just kind of takes you as just another one of the people that's here, you know. It's not like when you're doing something else and the guys kind of give you, well, you can't do that, you're a woman routine, you know. You really are respected for what you're able to do here, and it's nice. And I encourage all the women out there to do it.
Well, and Debbie, I mean, she's even sharing, you know, a tent with how many guys are in there?
Oh, I stopped counting after the first 15.
And it's really a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of camaraderie, and they are not disrespectful in any way. They're not saying, hey, I am Tarzan, you Jane. No way, they don't do that to you. They just make you feel glad to be part of this whole group.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I really am. Because the camaraderie you're talking about is something that most people maybe would think is camaraderie among men hunting.
And that's not so.
Where's the camaraderie?
It's just in being together and just talking about what we all enjoy doing together.
Among hunters.
Just talking to you, among hunters, right.
That's fine. Fine. Super.
Well, it's close to the other one.
Okay, this
All
is
right.
another person's bow, so the sight you're using, as long as you can group there where you're grouping, that's fine.
Oh, so
shoot another one.
All righty.
And remember that ball will stay in your hand with just a very loose finger pressure just curled around it. You don't even really have to tighten the finger around it. It'll stay in your hand.
Okay, what about as I'm holding it up? I mean, how long should I hold the bow up there, or what's?
Well, the first thing you do when you get your anchor, your string back to your anchor, should have that sight aimed right on what you want to hit.
Okay, so I don't bring it up and pull back and then aim, but I'm trying to aim as I'm...
You're doing it right in one single motion.
Okay.
You're making your draw, and you're putting that pin that you decided to use right on that target immediately. And when that string hits your face, you should have the sight pin in there on the target, and then get your anchor, your fine anchor, and tighten it in with a sight in that target all the time. Because that's two simple things for archery. You can't go too far wrong. If you aim the arrow first, and you put your squeeze on the back, last, you're not going to really shoot a bad arrow. It might not hit exactly where you want, but you're not going to be too far from it.
All right.
Okay.
Let me try it again here.
All right. Tighten it in. Cut it.
Boy,
beautiful.
I'm getting that the group is kind of close together.
Yeah.
Well, now you know the way you have taught me to pull back the arrow. You have me anchor it against kind of my nose and the middle of my chin, where now most archers, they pull it back and they've kind of got it against their cheek, right?
Right, that's a classic side hunting anchor, and they usually put the index finger on the corner of the eye tooth. Well, that's fine. The only problem is with the heavy broadheads and everything, you're losing a lot of yardage off your bow. You're narrowing your sight window down so you don't pick up a lot of yardage. Well, with this lower anchor, your triangulation picks up so that you're above your arrow. You're getting a good vision of it being over your arrow, looking down. Also, you're getting a precision anchor for alignment. That's positioning that nock right in line. That's very good.
Hey, I hit it.
Okay.
I hit that baby.
Okay.
We're doing some pretty good work here. Huh?
Yeah, you're doing all right.
I gotta try another one here. Oh.
We'll have to go get the arrows.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
Debbie, did anybody ever tell you have beautiful blue eyes?
Thanks.
That cover girl makeup, though, is a little bit sloppy.
Well, it does bring out my eyes better, though, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. No, seriously, this might kind of look kind of strange to people dressing like this, but it makes a difference to the deer if we're camouflaged or not.
Right.
But it's kind of windy right now. Back here by this blind, we got the tree blind set right up here. You know which way they're going to come from? Probably?
Probably?
Yeah.
That way.
They're going to come from that way? Why?
Because of the way the wind's blowing.
Well, you would think so. Remember, they're coming from a bedding area. They've been bedding down this afternoon to a feeding area. So, looks like back in the small stuff here is where they might feed out there, all that grassy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They could very well be bedded down out in there, back up in that swamp area. So I would guess by these trails that are coming through here that they'll be walking along the edges. So you got a good spot with the blind. I would say that rather than being out in the grass, they're going to be coming through here, one direction or the other. Okay.
Well, you have to have eyes all over your head anyway, so.
I know it, but move very slowly.
That's right.
Okay, well, you can go ahead and get up in this blind here.
Okay, you want to hold on to this for me?
Sure. It isn't too cold here today. How do you like it so far?
It's great. I need a little oxygen up here, but other than that, everything's fine. Okay. Listen, good luck.
Yeah, you do. What time you want me to come back and get you?
When does it start?
Okay. Pick you up at 7:30.
Okay. We'll have dinner later.
Yeah, we'll have dinner later, right. Well, wild game dinner coming up. It's going to be great. Well, I'm going to get going back here to another blind. Well, October's the time for bow hunting. You know, what you just saw for the past half hour here on Michigan Outdoors was a typical day at bow camp up here at Houghton Lake. Trying to give you the flavor of bow hunting. Now, the success this week, if you measure it in terms of deer, really hasn't been too great. Like yesterday, Debbie didn't see any, I didn't either, but it was great to be out in the woods. That's what bow hunting's all about. You know that wild game dinner we were talking about that we had last night? Well, that was sort of a setup for me when we went to tape it. You're going to see what that's about in just a moment. Smells good in here anyway.
Yeah, it sure does.
Hey, Fred. Hey, Deb. The kitchen's closed.
The kitchen's closed? Well, it couldn't be. We got to be the first ones back.
Yeah.
It smells really good. What is it?
Yeah.
Venison steak.
That sounds good, Bob.
Put a little wine on her there, Dad.
This is the wild game dinner, huh?
Okay.
Yep. We've got a little bit of venison. We've got a bear roasted in the
Yeah,
oven.
check the roast.
Well, not a whole bear.
Well, just a hindquarter.
Good food, good company. That's what bow camp is all about. That's what hunting is all about to an awful lot of us. We had a good time up here, Houghton Lake. You know, we had banquets during the week, too, a number of things, and we're going to have those next week on Michigan Outdoors. But now let's get back to that wild game dinner. Remember, I told you it was a setup.
We've got some salmon.
For people who don't recognize you, this is Bob Kowalkowski. Used to be a Detroit Lion.
Hey,
right?
don't hurt me now. I'm out of that stuff. I'm not into violence anymore.
Okay, how are things at Stag Haven?
We've had a good start of the season. We've got 16 deer so far, but we're having more fun up here with the Eastern Michigan Tourist Association on this hunt.
Okay, well, Bob and is it Dan?
Dan.
The cooks put together this wild game dinner. Have you met Debbie?
I met Debbie yesterday, yes.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Okay.
Good.
Well, we're going to do a sneak preview here on this food. What do you have anything out yet?
We've got the salmon out. We're doing the venison up now. We've got some
what's the soup?
Small game soup. There's a little bit of partridge and pheasant and squirrel and rabbit in there.
Some of that. That looks pretty good. You don't mind if we sneak a little bit ahead of the rest of the
As long as you don't use your fingers, Fred.
That food looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, it sure looked good. It had me distracted. I should have known when they started talking about dessert before we even started the meal that something was up.
What do you got for dessert?
Well,
We got some pie.
Oh, we got some good pie.
Debbie's already
Bring
had.
it in.
There it is, right here.
Okay.
Here's pie.
That's not pie. That's whipped cream. You know, that's good.
Great.
That's super. You know, if I was really a card, I'd eat this.
Fred.
Hey, OJ.
That'll teach you to be first in camping.
I've never hunted with anybody as charming and beautiful as Debbie. How about a kiss, Debbie? Debbie? Oh, no. Oh, now she's a good kisser. She's really a good kisser.
You know what?
What?
Paybacks are.
Okay, go ahead.
Fill in the blank.
You want to?
That tastes terrible.
Whipped cream up your nose. Now we're having fun.
You'll pay.
I will.
It was all very funny until I got my share.